what I think, one of the reasons I think it's really important to not only preserve and protect and defend African American history is because the demographic shifts in the city are such that the more and more African American people leave the city, the more their institutions leave as well. Churches and schools and clubs and businesses and home ownership. So Washington, D.C. was about 75% black back in the 1960s and 70s. Today it's only 49% black.
Yes, it's changing.
And as it changes, and as African American population decreases, so do their institutions wither away. So it's important that we preserve this black history and culture, but not only preserve it, but advance it and celebrate it. And what we're trying to do here in our Black History course at School Without Walls is we're trying to celebrate this black history as well as preserve it and protect it. And the students have been just really superb, and I'd be delighted to hear what you have to say about some of the classes that you've observed here at School Without Walls.
Well, as an observer of the class, first of all, it's a wonderful class, and I learn a lot from the class myself. Mm-hmm. And that's why I stay, because, you know, it's my planning period, and I really could run away and plan, but I don't want to plan because it's so enriching. I think at first the students are a little curious as to what it's all about, mm-hmm. and I think your approach is so unique in that you have the kente cloth and you have the candle and what it represents, and you explain that to them. You always have a period of music that you bring culturally from different African, you know, descent or the African diaspora, mm-hmm. and you always are very explanatory in what music it is and what it represents. So they don't have that kind of approach to history. Right. They don't even have that kind of approach to European history, right. Where you bring in artifacts, so to speak, to mm-hmm. speak to them. So they're curious, and they think it's kind of, you know, I'll use the term funky mm-hmm. and different, mm-hmm. and then they start learning, right. and they really become engaged. And I noticed, and this is no joke, they come to the library, and so they feel safe with me. They come talk to me. And they said, I said, what do you think about the class? And they said, you know, Ms. V, how come I didn't learn this? How come it took me to high school to learn the things that Professor Demczuk is bringing forth? So the richness that is DC, the jazz scene, you know, that we had or have, it's kind of fleeting. Mm-hmm. All of that, they realize whatever their ethnicity, it doesn't matter. Right. Black, white, Asian, Latino, they're learning something about a people that are rich and diverse and just beautiful. Mm-hmm. And the students are happy to have it. I mean, they're all signing up, like, I'm taking Professor Demczuk's class. Is it a semester course? Mm-hmm. But it's not a semester course, it's a year, because as if you could teach this in a semester, no. It would be difficult. So my observation is, I'm learning, mm-hmm. they're learning, and they're taking what they've learned back to other teachers and utilizing the knowledge in a basic history class like world history or DC government or DC history. And they said, you know, but hey, Professor Demczuk said this happened in blah, blah, blah. So what about that? Mm-hmm. So not only are they creating their own knowledge base, they're sharing their knowledge base with other educators who are learning something too. Right. So it can only be a win-win situation for learning. You
said something earlier which was really interesting, and that was about your own son and your own teaching of African American history in your home. One of the things I've observed from the students is that they have been excited about taking what they learn here and taking it home and discussing it with their parents and their siblings and their grandparents. I would like this Black History course to be brought right into the homes, to be brought into the family life, because it should not just be kept among one student or a group of students, it should be shared with the entire family.
I agree. When I learn something